All right, and we are back together for the continued study of the Mahaparinivana Sutra. We're starting on page 70. And we'll just continue on where we left off last week. All right. This is the Buddha speaking still. Also, emancipation stands above all causes and by causes. For example, from milk we get cream, from cream we get butter, and from butter we get Saripramanda. True emancipation has none of these causes. The causeless is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation thoroughly subdues arrogance, a great king who belittles a petty king. The case is not thus with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata. The Tathagata is Dharma.
Also, emancipation subdues all kinds of indolence. One who is indolent is greedy. With true emancipation, nothing such as this comes about. This is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation does away with non-brightness. This is as with best butter. When the scum and dirt are removed, we get Saripramanda. The same with emancipation. As a result of excluding the scum of ignorance, true brightness shines forth. Such brightness is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is quietude. The pure one, the not two. This is like the elephant of the wilderness, who is without comparison. The same is the situation with emancipation. It is the one, the not two, which is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata. So, the not two and the one, right? We can see that not two is speaking to the ending of duality. So, the pure one is the non-dualistic. The non-dualism. So whenever something arises, a thought arises, so does duality, right? So we can see that this true emancipation aligns with our quiet mind, our supreme Bodhi, because in supreme Bodhi there is no duality. There is the not two.
Also, emancipation is strong and full of truth. The stems of the bamboo, reed, and castor oil plants are empty, but the seeds are strong and truthful. Other than the Buddha, Tathagata, all of humankind and heaven are not strong and full of truth. True emancipation is remote from all illusions. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation awakens and augments one. True emancipation is like that. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation relinquishes all existences. And for example, a man, after partaking of food, may vomit. Emancipation is also like this. It relinquishes all existences. The relinquishing of all existences is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is a decision. This is as in the case of the fragrance from Varsiki, which is not found in Saptaparna. The same is the case with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is water. For example, water comes above all other elements of the earth and thoroughly moistens all trees, grass, and seeds. It is the same with emancipation. It thoroughly moistens all beings. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is entering. If there is a gate, this means that this is the entrance way. If there is a gate, this means that this is the entrance way. It is as in a place where there is gold which one can get. Emancipation is thus. It is like a gate. One who practices selflessness can indeed enter. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is what is good. For example, a disciple follows the injunctions of his teacher well, and we call this good. So too with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is called the supramundane law. Of all things, this is the one which supersedes all others. It is like the case of butter, which is the best of all tastes. Thus is it with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is the immovable. For example, the wind cannot move a gate. True emancipation is like this. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is the waveless. The great sea has waves, but this is not the case with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is like a royal palace. Emancipation is like that. Know that emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is what is useful. Jambun Ada, gold, has many uses. Nobody speaks ill of it. The same applies to emancipation. There is nothing bad about it. What has nothing bad about it is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is giving up the actions of one's childhood days. It is the same with emancipation. It does away with the 5 skandhas. Abandoning the 5 skandhas is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is the utmost. A person fettered in bonds obtains freedom and, after washing and cleaning himself, returns home. It is the same with emancipation. It is pure to the utmost. This utmost purity is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is the bliss that is not expelled. Because desire, malevolence, and ignorance have already been vomited out. As an example, a man swallows a poisonous drug by mistake. To expel the poison, he takes a drug. Once the poison is out, he is cured, feels well, and gains peace. It is the same with emancipation. Having cast out all illusions and the poison that binds one, the body gains peace. So we speak of non-expelled peace. Non-expelled peace is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation rids one of the 4 poisonous serpents of illusion. The getting rid of illusion is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is segregating oneself from all existences, excising all suffering, obtaining all aspects of peace, and eternally cutting off desire, ill will, and ignorance, and severing oneself from the roots of all illusions. Cutting the roots of illusion is emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Now, I want to point out something here. Segregating oneself from all existences, it doesn't mean like literally separate yourself from existence or dissociate from existence. Existence in this case, what I'm thinking is I am this, I am that. It is the idea of who you think you are. And all of those thoughts are considered illusions in Buddhism. Moreover, emancipation is termed that which severs all conditioned phenomena, gives rise to all unattained, wholesome qualities, phenomena, and eliminates the various paths, approaches. That is to say, self, non-self, not self, and not non-self. It merely severs attachment and does not sever the view of the self, the seeing of the self, the vision of the self. The view of the self is termed Buddha Dhatu. The Buddha Dhatu is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata. I'm going to scroll back here. So this is kind of speaking to the commentary I just gave about the existence, right? So segregating yourself from existence. So we can see here that, let's see, severs all conditioned phenomena. Phenomena is just those physical attributes or those literal attributes about the things that we can sense with our sense organs. So like sight is brown, that's phenomena. So all he's talking about is, right, the form that arises because of that contact. So you could call that the perception is one of the 5 aggregates, right? So it eliminates, so emancipation eliminates various paths, approaches. That is to say, eliminates self, non-self, not self, and not non-self, right? So those are all of our potential existences, and then the dualistic nature of those existences. Where one exists, so does its opposite, and that's the nature of duality. Whenever you say I am this, there's also it creates the duality, because now the opposite also arises. Now you have the possibility of not being that, right? So when we're talking about emancipation, severing and eliminating these things, it's really talking about not giving rise to it to begin with. So when we're in Supreme Bodhi, right, we have the quietude, we have the that really it's hard to describe what it is exactly, because it's one of those things where if you describe what it is, so using the words that are dualistic, right, there is no arisings in Supreme Bodhi, and so there is none of these things. They just don't arise. So when we're talking about severing this, and when we're talking about emancipation, that's what he's talking about. It's talking about that the self, the non-self, the not self, and the not non-self just don't arise altogether. And then it merely severs the attachment and does not sever the view of the self, the seeing of the self, the vision of the self. And we know from our practice of Supreme Bodhi, right, we still have the capacity to have a thought arise. We're not eliminating or severing our capacity of thought arising. We just aren't creating that arising. So we can continue on.
Yeah.
Do you see my hand up?
I did not. Thank you. Go ahead.
Also note that Supreme Bodhi is first with effort and then without effort. So this idea of non-duality in the beginning is one of effort, not because you reject there is duality, but because you have to intentionally train your mind by putting your mind with effort into a Supreme Bodhi that is no thought or quiet mind, and it takes concentrated effort to do so. And we compare it oftentimes to riding a bike. When you learn how to ride a bike, you're falling over a lot. You can't quite go fast enough to keep your balance. The same is true when you're training the brain to be in Supreme Bodhi. There are moments where you're there, where you're perfectly balanced. Neither thought is arising nor is it declining. And those moments, it took me 6 years of meditating virtually every day to finally be able to manage the quiet mind with intention. So you're catching glimpses of this quiet mind as you go from thought arising, thought quieting or diminishing, and then you're slowly over time able to control it. So you're able to drop a thought and notice thought right away and stay right in Supreme Bodhi, just like riding a bike, staying upright and balanced. And then with maybe another 15 years of practicing Supreme Bodhi with effort, then you start to notice that your mind does it without effort. It stays perfectly balanced in this in-between space where neither a thought, a partial thought can arise and you can attend to it. It can decline and you can attend to it. But for the most part, it becomes, and this is the key here, it becomes like breathing. Oftentimes meditation is referred to as noticing the breath. Well, this is the same. This is the breath that is inbound, which is thought arising, and the breath that is outbound, which is thought declining. So what we're doing is we're noticing thought arise, noticing thought decline, but in the Supreme Bodhi case, we're holding the mind in the middle. Whereas you can't do that with the breath because you would probably go unconscious. But in the way that they are similar is the way that you can control the breath when you want to, like in order to speak, or you don't have to control it at all because it exists all of its own doing. So we call that voluntary neural pathways and involuntary neural pathways in health, in medicine. And so we're training the brain to be in a state of Supreme Bodhi involuntarily, so that there isn't any effort, but it takes years to do it. So that's when you look at it like that and you apply these concrete practices to what you're hearing in the sutras, it makes a lot of sense. But unless you have the context to apply these sutras, it's sound contradictory. And that, I think, is a lot of the problem with Western Buddhism, is that they read these sutras, but they don't really have anyone who knows how to understand them. And this non-duality is mixed with duality because there is effort until there isn't effort. So if you have any questions or you're confused, please reach out and ask questions, because it does appear to be contradictory, but it's really not. You just need the context. So anyway, that's my input. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Also emancipation.
Also, emancipation is the not empty empty. Empty empty is non-possession. Empty empty is non-possession. Non-possession is the emancipation which the Tirthikas and near grantha jnati putras presume upon. But in truth, the nirgranthas do not possess emancipation. So we say empty, empty, not empty, empty is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Also, emancipation is the not empty, the pot in which we put water, drink, milk, cream, butter, honey, etc., can well be called the water pot and such like, even when there is no water, drink, cream, butter, honey, or any other thing in it. And yet we cannot say that the pot is either empty or not empty. If we say empty, there cannot be any color, smell, taste, or touch. If we say not empty, what we see is that there is nothing in it, such as water, drink, or any other thing. We can say neither matter nor non-matter. We can say neither empty nor not empty. If we say empty, there can be no eternity, bliss, self, and purity. If not empty, who is the one blessed with eternity, bliss, self, and purity? I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
So it's not to say that there is no emptiness, but rather to say that as soon as you think that emptiness is something and you call it thus, it no longer is empty.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and same with not emptiness. As soon as you think what is not emptiness, then it is no longer empty. It is something because it is a thought. So the true emptiness is quiet mind, where no thought is observed in its incompleteness. So to say something is empty would be to have a thought about what emptiness is completely. Well, as far as a thought formed is concerned. The only way you can do this is to watch a thought arise, watch a thought decline, and then hold the mind in between a thought arising and a thought declining. And there you can see where thoughts fully form, where they are partially declining or are partially arising. But anyway, that's my input. Thank you.
Thanks. Thus, we should say neither empty nor not empty. Empty will entail that the 25 existences, all illusions, suffering, the phases of life, and all actual actions do not exist. When there is no cream in the pot, we may say empty. Not empty points to truth. Whatever is good, eternal, bliss, self, pure, immovable, and unchanging. It is as in the case of taste and touch regarding the pot. That is why we say not empty. In consequence, we may say that emancipation is as in the case of the pot. The pot will break in certain circumstances, but this is not so with emancipation. It cannot break. What is indestructible is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata. So it also points to that this is not the practice of nihilism. This is not the practice of saying, I'm going to deny the existence of such things. It's not about denying existence. It's about simply, as Keiko put it, right, being able to ride that bike. But that's a really good analogy. Ride that bike and sustain that supreme Bodhi. I like how he calls it in the sutra, quietude. I see your hand is up again. Go ahead.
And then what was that? The last passage there, last sentence in sutra.
It cannot break. What is indestructible is true emancipation.
Right. All of that. See how that thinking arises. So if it says it is this, and it says it is not this, and it says it is this, and says not this, then notice the thoughts arising. Say that it, notice that it is true and not true, and it is the Tathagata and not the Tathagata. These are all opportunities to practice noticing thought arising and noticing that every time a thought arises and it exists, then it cannot be it. All right, that's my input. Thanks.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Also, emancipation is severing oneself from love. For example, there is a man here who may longingly desire to become Skarodevanamindra, Brahma, and Mahesvara. Emancipation is other than this. Once unsurpassed enlightenment has been attained, there is no love and no doubt. Not having love or doubt is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata. We cannot say that there is love or doubt in emancipation.
So when we're saying love, he's talking about conditional love. Right? So in Buddhism, there is unconditional loving kindness, which is completely different from the love that the Buddha is talking about now. Take, I see your hand is up.
All right, and notice he's using the word emancipation, which is freedom. So there's the idea of this practice, you put it in that context. If you have control over your thoughts, you have freedom. If you cannot control your thoughts, you are imprisoned. So that's the context in which emancipation is being used here. So it's not to say that I cannot love with all the fullness of its duality. It's that I can control my mind enough to not be imprisoned by the thinking of love or any other thought that comes along with it. So this idea of emancipation, you're walking freely, with feet in heaven and feet upon the earth. You're walking freely, and that's the practice. So this idea of always being stoic or not having any feelings is not true. You can do whatever you want to do. Well, I mean, within the law, of course, but it's freedom to do whatever you want to do skillfully. All right, that's my input.
Okay, cool, thank you. Wait, go back up. Oh yeah, you're right. Also, emancipation cuts off all greed, all external appearances, all bonds, all illusions, all births and deaths, all causes and conditions, all karma results. Such emancipation is the Tathagata. The Tathagata is nirvana. When all beings fear birth and death and illusion, they take refuge in the three treasures. This is like a herd of deer who fear the hunter and run away. One jump may be likened to one refuge, and 3 such jumps to 3 refuges. From the 3 jumps, peace comes. It is the same with all beings. When one fears the 4 maras, and the evil-minded hunter, one takes the 3 refuges. As a result of the 3 refuges, one gains peace. Gaining peace is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata. The Tathagata is nirvana. Nirvana is infinite. The infinite is the Buddha nature. Buddha nature is definiteness. Definiteness. Definiteness is unsurpassed enlightenment. So this is interesting because I was kind of thinking about this earlier today, right? The purpose of taking refuge, and taking refuge means that this is what you go back to when you struggle. This is what you go back to in order to relax, in order to unwind. It's kind of like, think about the things that you do every day that you might rely on, like coming home, like taking a nice warm bath, like reading, like watching your favorite show, or cuddling your dog, or whatever you might do. That I mean, to me, that is that refuge we're talking about. We're talking about coming to the three treasures, or the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, instead of these other external things for refuge, right? We're coming back to Supreme Bodhi. And then, we can go into, having that cup of tea. Yeah, and then we can go into, loving on our animals. And then we can, as Teiko said, then we can experience that fullness of conditional or unconditional love. But ultimately, that refuge means that's your default go-to. This is where I go when I'm struggling. This is where I go, and truly take refuge from these things like illusion and desire, and the Maras he's talking about, which Mara is just illusion and desire, and the evil-minded hunter, which could be those old habits that die hard. It could be traumas. It's really anything that would falsely make us fall away from realizing that Supreme Bodhi is the true origin of arising of our well-being. Anything that we mistake for that origin of arising well-being other than Supreme Bodhi would be considered the Smaras and the evil hunter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all I had to say.
Bodhisattva Kasyapa said to the Buddha, "O world-honored one, if it is the case that nirvana, the Buddha nature, definiteness, and the Tathagata are one and the same, why do we say three refuges?" The Buddha said to Kasyapa, "All beings fear birth and death, so they take the three refuges. By the three refuges, we mean Buddha nature, definiteness, and nirvana. O good man, there are cases in which this name, Dharma, is one, but the meaning differs. There are cases in which the names of Dharma and the meanings are both different. We say that the name is one, but the meaning differs. This refers to the situation where we say that the Buddha is eternal, Dharma is eternal, and the Bhiksu is eternal. Also, nirvana and space are eternal. This is a case where the name is one, but the signification is different. We say that both the word and the signification differ. The Buddha is called enlightenment. Dharma is called no awakening. The Sangha, harmony, and nirvana, emancipation. Space is called non-good and also not covered. There are cases in which the word and the signification both differ. O good man, the case of the three refuges is also like this. The world and the signification both differ. How can we say one? That is why I say to Mahaprajapati, O Gautami, do not make offerings to me. Make them to the Sangha. If offerings are made to the Sangha, this amounts to offerings being made to the three refuges. Mahaprajapati answered, saying, among the priests there are no Buddha and no Dharma. How can we say that offerings made to the Sangha constitute offerings made to the three refuges? I said, if you do as I say, this will mean that you have made offerings to the Buddha. For the purpose of emancipation, offering is made to Dharma. When all priests receive this, this is an offering made to the Sangha. O good man, at times the Tathagata speaks about one thing and makes it refer to three. He speaks about three and makes it one. All such things are what have to do with the world of all Buddhists. They are not what Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas think known.
So this reminds me of in the Mahaparinivana Sutra when the Buddha talks about untying the 6 knots. And he says that, I have imagine that we have this cloth and I've tied 6 knots in this one cloth. How do you suppose that we will untie all the knots? And he says this to Ananda. And the 6 knots, of course, signify our 6 sense gates. And the Buddha then goes on to explain that all you have to do is untie 1 knot and they all come undone. And it's a metaphor for our practice, right? In order to experience Supreme Bodhi, we only need to use 1 sense gate to get there by the method that the Buddha teaches us. And once you're in Supreme Bodhi, all of them are undone. There is no undoing each one of them. You don't have to go through all of the 6 sense gates. And this kind of reminds me of that, right, where you have the three refuges. But if we're practicing in Supreme Bodhi, when we give the offerings, when we take refuge, and we're going to Supreme Bodhi, the words are just another form. They're just another perception. So we're really not, the experience really isn't centered around the words of the 3 jewels, right? We're being called to an experience, not to bow down to the Buddha, the Sangha, or the Dharma. It's about experiencing Supreme Bodhi in the way that the Buddha teaches us to experience Supreme Bodhi. And so when we give offerings, correct giving is giving from Supreme Bodhi. And Teiko, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
And that is why the Buddha can never be referred to as a god, because this practice is for personal hygiene of the mind. This is not about worshiping the Buddha. It is in the Bible that God gives us the conviction of making sure we are clean. If you think about it, this would be the cleaning of the mind. So therefore, it's a purification. So this should never stand between you and whatever worship you would wish to practice. This is just simply, maybe go so far as to say advanced psychology. We're training the mind, and that's all there is to it. There are cultures who do worship the Buddha, but in terms of what the Buddha said, the Buddha never said that he was a god. That is put upon him by his followers, which is according to the Buddha, is incorrect. He admonished people for accusing him of being something supernatural, and told them, do not do that. So anyway, that's my input.
He actually said in the Mahaparinivana Sutra that these people are not practicing Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're doing something he didn't want them to do. Well, I mean, it's wonderful to appreciate someone so much that you believe they are, heaven sent or a miracle, but it is not to say that you will find liberation by worshiping them. And see, that's the thing. There has to be a discretion in noticing that you can appreciate someone for having done something or taught you something, but worshiping is entirely different, because in worship you're expecting that being to do something for you. And in Buddhism, the Buddha teaches us to do this for ourselves, not to have the Buddha ever do it for you. And it's not to say that other countries' participation in Buddhism is incorrect. It's just in the context of their culture, which again, I can explain if people have questions, because I lived it as a teacher to the military. I lived it, and I understand why they do what they do. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then I did want to caveat too that none of the things that we talk about or read about are for us to take and judge other people with. It's you should be taking this as an individual and applying it to only to yourself and your thoughts, because, you know, we can't, the Buddha does tell us that we can't know other people. We can only hope to know our own selves. So don't take this as an opportunity to go out and go to the temples that might worship and tell everybody off you're not practicing Buddhism. That's not the point. And that's not skillful. All right. Kasyapa said further, you, the Buddha, say that utmost peace is nirvana. How can this be? Now nirvana means relinquishing the body and intellect. If one relinquishes the body and intellect, who is it that can become blessed with peace? The Buddha said, O good man, as an example, there is a man here. He eats some food. After partaking of it, he feels sick, desires to go out and vomit. After vomiting, he comes back. A person who was with him asks, have you got rid of the trouble you had? You have come back here again. Such may be the case. The same applies to the Tathagata. He fully segregates himself from the 25 existences and eternally gains nirvana, which is peace and bliss. There can be no more of this topsy-turvy inversion, no ending and no extinction. All feeling is done away with. This is the bliss of non-feeling. This non-feeling is eternal bliss. We can never say that the Tathagata feels bliss. So utmost bliss is none but nirvana. Nirvana is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata.
Kasyapa further said, are birthlessness and desirelessness emancipation? It is so, O good man. Birthlessness and desirelessness are emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata. Kasyapa said further, you say that birthlessness and desirelessness are emancipation. Space too, by its nature, is birthlessness and desirelessness. It must be the Tathagata. The nature of the Tathagata must be emancipation. The Buddha said to Kasyapa, O good man, it is not so. Yes.
Oh, take it, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to talk about feelings. So Robert just mentioned about feelings. Keep in mind that feelings always follow a thought. You cannot have a feeling without a thought at all. Now, you may not notice that you're having a thought because you might go straight to feelings, but all feelings exist only because a thought exists to create them. Just keep that in mind. Thanks.
Very true. And that is referring back to the previous paragraph where he talks about non-feeling and eternal bliss. Is that correct? I'm sorry. Is that correct? Were you referring to?
Yes. So
Okay.
I was referring to the feelings that were in the last that Robert was reading. I can't specifically say which. Sounds like they're moving into feelings now. And feelings are always a byproduct of thought. I mean, you can experiment with your own feelings too. And it can be that you can have feelings that you're not aware of the root of, but that doesn't mean that the thought doesn't exist. Feelings have to have a thought. Anyway,
Very
my
true.
input.
Yeah, just to kind of circle it back. Right, here's the spot. All feeling is done away with. This is the bliss of non-feeling. This non-feeling is eternal bliss. And I think that's tying it back. So we'll continue on down here now. I think we were here.
Mm-hmm. The nature of the Tathagata must be emancipation. The Buddha said to Kasyapa, O good man, it is not so. Why, O world-honored one, is that not so? O good man, the Palavinka and Jivaka have clear and wonderful voices. How can we compare their voices to those of the crow and magpie? What do you say to that? We cannot, O world-honored one. The voices of the crow and magpie cannot bear comparison 100,001 times. Kasyapa said again, the voices of the Kalavinka and others are wonderful. So is their body. O Tathagata, how can we compare them to those of the crow and magpie? This is little different from comparing a mustard seed to Mount Sumeru. The same is the case with the Buddha in space. The voice of the Kalavinka can well be compared to that of the Buddha, but the voices of the crow and magpie cannot bear comparison with that of the Buddha. Then the Buddha praised Kasyapa and said, well said, O good man, you now grasp what is most difficult to understand. The Tathagata at times, as occasion requires, takes the case of space and compares it to emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata. True emancipation cannot bear comparison with man or heaven, and space itself, truth to tell, is not fit for comparison. To teach beings, a comparison is sought with what cannot, in its true sense, serve the purpose. Know that emancipation is the Tathagata. The nature of the Tathagata is this emancipation. Emancipation and the Tathagata are not two, they are not different. O good man, we say non-comparable. We cannot take what cannot be compared. When there is a connection, then we can compare. Then we can compare. Is as when it says in the sutras, for example, the visage is as right set as that of the full moon. The white elephant is as fresh and clear as the snow of the Himalayas. Now, the full moon cannot be the same as a face, and the Himalayas and the white elephant cannot be equals. O good man, it is not possible to express emancipation by parables. In order to teach beings, parables are resorted to. Through parables, we realize the nature of all things. Matters stand thus. Kasyapa said further, why is it that the Tathagata resorts to two kinds of parables? The Buddha said, O good man, for example, there is a person here who holds a sword in his hand, and with an angry mind means to harm the Tathagata. But the Tathagata is glad and has no angry face. Can this man harm the Tathagata and actualize the deadly sin? No, O world-honored one. Why not? Because the body of the Tathagata cannot be destroyed. Why not? Because it is not anything of the compounded carnal body. What there is dharmata. The principle of dharmata is indestructible. How can this man hope to break the Buddha body? Because of his evil thought, this person falls into avicii hell. Thus, we can make use of parables and come to know of wonderful Dharma. Then the Buddha praised Bodhisattva Kasyapa. Well said, you already said what I wanted to say. Also, O good man, for example, an evil person means to harm his own mother. He lives in the fields and hides himself under a haystack. His mother brings out food to him. Then the man entertains an evil thought, steps forward and sharpens his sword. His mother, seeing this, slips away and hides under the stack. The man thrusts his sword into the haystack from all sides. Having done so, he is glad and thinks that he has killed his mother. Then his mother comes out of the haystack and returns home. What does this imply? Does this man have to suffer in avicii hell or not? O world-honored one, we cannot definitely say which one. Why not? If we say that he has equal avicii hell, his mother's body would need to get hurt. But if it is not hurt, how can we say that the man has harmed her? If he is guiltless, how come it that he entertained the thought of having actually killed his mother, and how could he have been so glad? How can we say that he is guiltless? Though he has not actually committed this deadly sin, there is nothing other than a deadly sin. From this, we may know only through parables the true nature of a thing. Praising Kasyapa, the Buddha said, well said, O good man. For this reason, I resort to many expedients and parables, and explain emancipation. We could well employ innumerable asamkhiyas of parables, yet parables cannot thoroughly explain all. If occasion arises, we might resort to parables, or the occasion might not permit parables. Thus, emancipation has such virtues. If we explain nirvana, nirvana and the Tathagata have innumerable virtues. We speak of great nirvana. Bodhisattva Kasyapa said to the Buddha, O world-honored one, I now know that there is no ending of things, referring to where the Tathagata goes. If the place is unending, life too must be unending. The Buddha said, well said, well said. You now protect wonderful Dharma indeed. Any good men or women who desire to cut off the bonds of illusion and all bonds should protect wonderful Dharma thus.
Okay, so I want to help bring some context to this. The context with regards to the Avicii hells. In the Mahaparinivana Sutra, Buddha tells us that he goes through all the different hells, right? And then he says all of these hells are self-inflicted, right? We bring them upon ourselves. We make ourselves stay in them. They are not external to us. And so when we're talking about, is this person going to hell? And that parable about the man who tries to kill his mom, it's about the thoughts. It's about the cause and effect of letting an unskillful thought remain and acting on the unskillful thought. It is the strengthening of that neural pathway that happens when we allow the thoughts to continue to exist and when we act on them. And the hell is just that those thoughts will continue to arise. And the more that we give energy to them, the more thoughts like them will continue to arise. And so it's this karmic, quote unquote karmic, just cause and effect of those thoughts that are of harming others will, give rise to more thoughts that are, induced with like ill will and harmfulness. Teiko, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
You cannot have supreme Bodhi if you have thoughts of harm.
Right.
So the idea that someone can commit a crime and get away with it because they're not going to hell because they don't have any thoughts about it anymore, that is it's impossible. It's impossible for somebody that is of this practice to intentionally harm another living being. It's impossible. So if provided, of course, they're practicing correctly, because the mind wants to assure its own effort is going to be productive. The mind does not want to waste the effort. So people that put effort into this practice do not hurt other beings, not intentionally. Of course,
Also,
maybe with ignorance, but yeah.
Also, the Buddha, in the Mahaparinivana Sutra, also he says that in the process of finding and experiencing supreme Bodhi, we discover what that unconditional compassion is. And once you take that step, it's something that it's a progress point that you rarely could revert back to not knowing what that unconditional compassion is.
Yeah, exactly. So there is no way that you can practice in order to be a better killer,
Right.
because the two would not work. They're incompatible. Like the opposite ends of a magnet, will never bond together. This is the same situation. So anyway, that's my input.
Thanks. The Buddha further said to Kasyapa, O good man, in this all-wonderful Mahaparinivana Sutra, there appears 4 kinds of men. These well protect, establish, and think of wonderful Dharma. They benefit others very much and pity the world. They become the refuges of all of the world and give peace and bliss to man and God. What are the 4? A man appears in the world and possesses illusion. This is the first category. Those persons of the grades of Srotapana and Sakrid Gamin are second. Those of the grade of Anagamin are the third, and those of the stage of Arhat are the fourth. Such 4 kinds of person appear, benefit and pity the world. They become the refuges of the world and give peace and bliss to man and heaven.
What do we mean by those garbed in illusion? Such people uphold the prohibitions, observe deportment, and uphold wonderful Dharma. They accord with what the Buddha says, understand what is said, and expound it to others, and say, coveting little is the way.
Scott?
Yeah. Oh. Desiring much is not the way, and expound the 8 awakened minds of a great man. To one who transgresses, the way is shown, so that he confesses and repents. These people make away with sins and know the expedients and secrets of the teachings of the Bodhisattvas. Such is a common mortal, not the 8th person. The 8th person is no common mortal. He is called Bodhisattva, but not Buddha.
The people of the second category are those of the stages of Srotapana and Sakrigaman. Having encountered wonderful Dharma, they uphold it. They follow and listen to the words of the Buddha and act as they have heard. Having heard, they write down what they have heard, uphold what they have heard, recite it, and expound the teachings to others. There can be no such thing as not writing down, not receiving, upholding, and expounding the teaching to others. With them, there could never be anything such as saying that the Buddha allows them to keep servants and what is impure. This refers to the people of the second category. They have not yet attained the 2nd and 3rd places of abode. They are called bodhisattvas. They have already received the Buddha's prophecy that they will attain Buddhahood.
The people of the 3rd category are those of the stage of Anagamin. With them, there can never be such things as slandering wonderful Dharma, keeping servants, male or female, having impure things, or holding the books of the Tirthikas, being hindered by foreign illusions, or being bound up by various old illusions, saving for themselves the true Sharira of the Tathagata, getting attacked by eternal illnesses, or the 4 great poisonous serpents, and insisting upon self. They talk about selflessness, but never talk about or cling to worldly things. They speak about and uphold Mahayana, but their body is never soiled by the 80,000 germs. They are forever removed from sensual appetite, and even in their dreams, they never ejaculate impure things. At the last moment of their life, they are never afraid. What does anagaman mean? This person never comes back. As already stated, no wrongs or illnesses ever catch hold of him. He goes, returns, and cycles around. He is called a bodhisattva. Receiving his prophecy, he, not long after that, attains unsurpassed enlightenment. This is the person of the third category.
The fourth is the Arhat. An Arhat is he who cuts through the bonds of illusion and who has made away with the heavy weight that rests on his shoulders and who has attained what he wanted to have. All things having been accomplished, he lives on the 10th level, attaining an unmolested state of wisdom. He does what others desire to have and manifests various images. If he desires to accomplish the Buddha way as it should be accomplished, he can well do so. One who can so accomplish innumerable virtues is an Arhat.
Such are the four kinds of people who appear, benefit, and pity the world. They thus become the refuges of the world and give peace and bliss to man and God. They are the most honored and the most superb of all men and gods. It is as in the case of the Tathagata, who is the most superb of men and gods and is the refuge of the world.
Bodhisattva Kasyapa said to the Buddha, O world-honored one, I do not take refuge in these four beings. Why not? It is as stated in the SBZ Sutra, in which the Buddha addresses Gosila. There you say, Devas, Maras, and Brahma may desire destruction, present themselves in the forms of Buddhas, perfectly adorn themselves with such as 32 signs of perfection and the 80 minor marks of excellence, and the light of a halo measuring 8 feet, a face perfectly round as the time of the full moon, and a white tuft of hair in the center of the brow, whiter than horseshoe shell or snow. Should they appear thus adorned, look carefully to see if these are genuine. Having made sure, subdue them. O world-honored one, Maras and others can present themselves as Buddhas. Why might they not be able to present themselves as the four sages, the Arhat, who, to begin with, as sitting or sleeping in the air, emitting water from the left hand side of their body and fire from the right, and emitting blazing flames from their body like a fireball? For these reasons, I cannot have faith in this. I dare not accept such, even when taught. I shall not take refuge in them. The Buddha said, O good man, if you have doubt in what I say, it is for you not to accept it. Even more so when you have to deal with such people. This being so, weigh up on the thing well, and find out if it is good or not, if it is for you to do or not. Acting thus, one becomes blessed with peace and bliss in a long night. O good man, there is here a dog with his mind set upon stealing. At night he enters a man's house. When the servants come to know of this, they angrily shout, Get out this instant or we will kill you. The burglar dog hears this, runs out of his house, and never comes back again. From now on, act like this. and drive away the Papiyas, saying, O Papiyas, do not present yourself in such a form. Should you dare, we shall bind you up with the 5 ropes. On hearing this, Mara will hide away. He will never again show himself like a burglar dog. Kasyapa said to the Buddha, O world-honored one, it is as you, the Buddha, said to the rich man, Gosila. Anybody who can thus conquer Mara will surely draw close to Parinirvana. O Tathagata, how is it that you particularly speak of these 4 kinds of people and say that we should take refuge in them? Teiko, I see your hand is up.
So binding the demons or binding Mara is all just controlling your own thoughts. That's it.
That's it.
All
Very
right,
good.
thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you. What such people say cannot be trusted. The Buddha said to Kasyapa, O good man, I address the Shravakas who have fleshly eyes and say that I subdue Mara. I do not say this to those of the Mahayana. Those of the Sravaka class fall under the category of the fleshly eye, though they may possess the heavenly eye. Those who practice Mahayana may also possess fleshly eyes, but they are those who have the Buddha eye. How so? These Mahayana sutras are called the Buddha vehicle. Such a Buddha vehicle is most superb. A good man, there are, for example, brave and courageous people, and also those who are cowardly and weak, and who come and hang on. Those strong always teach the weak and say, take the bow like this, the arrow like this, and learn. The halberd, the long hook, and the policeman's lasso. Also, the strong man will say, now the fate of those who fight is like walking on sword blades, but one must not have fear. When one sees man or God, think that they are petty and weak. One must be brave at heart. There may also be a man who, though not brave, presents himself as brave, and armed with a bow and a sword and many other things goes to the battlefield. Then that person will cry out loudly, don't fear these people. If they see that you are not afraid, they will know and soon disperse like the robber dog. Oh, good man, the same is the case with the Tathagata. To all Sravakas, he says, do not be afraid of Maripapiyas. If Maripapiyas clad as the Buddha come to you, make effort and harden your mind so that he will draw back. I'm sorry, I read that weirdly. If Maripapiyas clad as the Buddha comes to you, make effort and harden your mind so that he will draw back.
Oh, good man. Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So when you notice a thought arising that arises without control over it, in order to bind that thought down, you have to interrupt it by imposing another thought. And when I was beginning this process, I used the word no. So I would say in my mind the word no. I would trace the letter formation of N and O in my mind, and I would repeatedly, over and over and over say no. And in doing so, the other thought that I knew was not, was the robber dog, we'll just call it that, could not steal from me. I mean, there was no way that a unskillful thought could form because I was interrupting that thought formation. So, this is in the beginning of your practice. If you have thoughts that you've had all your life because maybe your parents were the bad example and you feel like you're bound by those thoughts forever, that's not true. Just use the word no, and those thoughts cannot exist. It's running interference. I don't know what that's called electronically, but your dominant thought will be the one that you think, and all other thoughts will be vanquished. That's how you bind the robber dog. I hate to say robber dog because I can't imagine a dog would ever be a robber, but whatever. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Electronically, I think that's called task manager. Sorry.
Yeah, very good. It's a but there's a precedence, isn't there, or a protocol for
Priority.
priority. So you're setting and maintaining a precedence of priority, and with intention, and eventually a thought that you do not want to have involuntarily will cease to exist. It does. It ceases if you bind the thought, it will cease to exist. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and that is well, I mean, it's kind of my big effort here is to make the practice repeatable, and I think this is something we talk about frequently. It's really a procedure, and that might sound like it's stripping it down, and it is, because we need it to be something that we can draw upon consistently every time. And that's like what he says here: take the bow like this, take the arrow like this, and learn. And really, that's the importance of mastering this, so that we can be those defend the Dharma, as he's saying, and continue teaching others how to do this too. So with that, I'm gonna make a note of where we stop. Now is a good time to switch gears and go into Sangha sharing. A suggestion for us, if you can't think of something to share, if you don't have something to share, an idea is, what do you use? What do you use to intercept those unskillful thoughts? Similar to Keiko saying the word no. So while I'm making a note of this, just think about what you might have to share.